Hello there ladies and gentlemen, I'm the CHALL and welcome to this video. Just before we get into it, someone did request a birthday shout out, so I want to send a happy birthday to Alicia. This has come from your friend. Massive day for you. Shout out to you Alicia and hope you have a wonderful birthday. Now let's get into our January recruitment video. Now I'm not a professional football scout, but I think it's my turn to at least have a shout and try and have a look at players that could be worth looking into to sign for the Rovers. So before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell on this YouTube video, and let's get straight into this one. First out of four positions is centre-backs. Now the reason why I've gone for centre-backs is with Younger still not back fit yet, with Oluwu out for a few weeks, with Anderson, with Long, and with also Roshan Williams, it means we need more competition for places in that position, especially with the injured players. Also, don't forget Bobby Faulkner, who's 18 years old, is injured for a few weeks, but was loaned out to Worksop for the month. So let's have a look at some centre-backs. Kofi Barmer from Crystal Palace. Now, he's been recently praised by Patrick Vieira for his maturity as a defender, quoted playing like a 28 or 29-year-old. Now, he's scored 1 goal in 9 Premier League 2 appearances, which is the Youth Academy / Under-23s Premier League. 2 EFL Trophy appearances and can play completely across the back four. Now, Kofi Barmer for me would be a very interesting loan signing. I think that giving him first team football would be the way to go. I think it's definitely a route for the defender. And I think he could deserve some first team football. I think that he's not too far away from the Palace first team from reports. So I'd give it a season or two and he could be in and amongst that first team squad in the next sort of year or two. I think Kofi Barmer would be a very interesting choice, but I think also it would be a very wise choice, especially with his maturity and the praise he's got for his maturity as a younger defender. So I think that he's a real development player to work with a development head coach like Danny Schofield. So I think he's perfect at this moment in time for his development. Antef Tsungi on loan from Brighton and Hove Albion. Now then, the story with this guy. He's set to potentially leave on loan this month as well, so a loan deal is viable. Now he's a big and strong but good on the ball lad. Think of it as a very young Lewis Dunk, and you know how good of a defender Lewis Dunk can be in the Brighton squad in the Premier League. They do have plans to loan out some of the youngsters to get first team football, and it seems like Tsungi is one of them. A versatile ball-playing centre-back who can also operate at full-back and in the midfield. He signed a contract in January that expires at the end of the season, so there is the potential chance to pick him up on a permanent deal next season to give him the first 6 months development. If he likes us and doesn't think he's going to get much first team football in the future at Brighton, there's an option to come to us next season, especially if we go up this year through the playoffs. So I think Tsungi for me is the real deal. I think he's a really good opportunity to bring in someone with a lot of potential. We've got the opportunity to bring in someone with a lot of potential and a lot of really good attributes to make him part of this squad long term. Now, don't get me wrong, do I think a permanent deal at the end of his contract is viable? Probably not. But I think that we've got a really good opportunity to give him an option at the end of his contract if we develop him for these next 6 months. So next up is the winger roles. Taylor's out for the rest of the season. Bowler's just come back but is not going to get much game time in this current squad. Agard can play on the right hand side, but it would be preferred up front. You got Hurst and Molineux, but you haven't really got much competition without Taylor being there, apart from Hurst and Molineux. There's not much competition for those two players, so you need some competition and some depth in that position. This guy, Ollie O'Neill, 7 goals and 6 assists in 12 Premier League 2 appearances, playing on each wing as well as the right midfield deeper. Ollie O'Neill for me is a very technically gifted young player at Fulham, a very technically gifted player, very pacey, very skillful on the ball, really great young player, has a bright future, one of the bright young Irish stars right now, and I think that he'll be a wonderful option in that winger role. And another alternative for me in this position is a permanent transfer for Wycombe's Sully Kai. He made only 6 League 1 appearances so far this season and has previous experience of Leagues 1 and 2 especially. He can play on either wing. He is 26, 27 years old, so he has that experience in him. For me, Kai would be a very astute signing for League 2. I think the fact that he's not getting much game time at Wycombe at the minute, he's only had, 6% of starts this whole season so far. He's come off the bench majority of the time, but not featured in the squad sometimes as well. So I think that Kai for me would be a very astute signing. I think with his contract expiring in 6 months as well, if you can pick him up 6 months early and guarantee him more first team football with that experience that he's got, I think it would be a very, very worthwhile signing. And I think it's worth doing. I think getting someone of that experience on the wing would be absolutely worth doing. Arsenal's George Lewis. Now, this guy is very highly thought of in the Arsenal Academy. Now, he's been assessed as ready to make the initial loan step, likely to be League 2. At the age of 22, he's not too young either. Now, he moved to Norway at the age of 4, starting his career at local side at Stakkevollen IF, before moving to Tromsdalen and then Tromsø in 2015. He mostly played for the reserve teams of both clubs, notably notching 32 goals in 35 appearances over 3 seasons for Tromsdalen's reserve team. He went on trial with Arsenal in March 2020, having previously trained with Solihull as well as Bournemouth and Ipswich Town. Now, I'm not talking about Solihull Moors, I'm talking Solihull United. Now then, George Lewis for me would be a very astute younger signing and a real development player. Now, I think with his experience abroad as well, I think could provide a very unique attribute to the team roster. I think it would be a very astute signing for the chemistry of the team, for the whole morale of the team. They could be a welcome addition to the squad, and I think they will provide that real cover and that depth and get his equal amount of game time for the club. And I think it will really give some competition to Hurst and Molineux and keep making them improve game on game and keep making them step up, because, you know, Molineux's not prime age yet. He's still a couple of years away from prime age. Hurst is still in the development phase. This guy will provide that competition for places, in my opinion. Now, the centre of midfield is a big one for me. We've got Harrison Biggins, we've got Ben Close, but then what have you got after that? We've got Adam Clayton, who for me, I don't think Clayton will start many games now. I think he's more of a rotational player with the experience, with the leadership, with that previous mentality of being a Premier League player, being a Championship player. I think he's more there for the experience rather than starting every game. I don't think he's going to see out 90 minutes of football, especially with Biggins and Close ahead of him. But you need that competition for places again. With Ravenhill probably going to go out on loan if we don't get many not get many bodies in. You know, if we do bring transfers in, Ravenhill will probably go out on loan again. So I think that having that competition for places is vital, and that's why we need a new midfielder. Harvey Griffiths. Now, Harvey Griffiths, 4 goals in 3 assists in 13 Premier League 2 appearances for Wolves Academy. Centre defensive midfielder and a centre midfielder. Now, this would provide an astute loan signing. Now, Harvey Griffiths for me is a young player with some decent potential, looks like a good holder of the ball, and could provide some real competition for that midfield. I think could be a really nice player that could cover a lot of ground, but also hold the play up, make the play, hold it deep in the midfield. I don't think he'll necessarily slow the game up, but I think that he will cover a lot of ground and will think about making those forward passes and those forward runs going forward behind him to in front of him. So I think that Harvey Griffiths is a forward-thinking defensive midfielder and could provide, again, a very astute signing on loan for the club. Now, an alternative to Harvey Griffiths is this guy, Jack Henry Francis from Arsenal. Now, this guy has 1 goal and 1 assist in 9 Premier League 2 appearances. He's been compared to a Torreira-type work rate player. He has really good tenacity, really good in possession, really good in and out of the ball, and I think he could be a very nice signing. Highly thought of by Mikel Arteta, training with that first team squad for a little bit now. Now, Jack Henry Francis for me would be a really nice loan signing for the rest of the season. It could be a really good acquisition by the club. And I think that Arsenal could be really... He could give us some really nice development. And I think with Matt Smith being in that Arsenal squad, I think with that experience being at Rovers before, could give him some nice advice about choosing Rovers over any other club that might go for him personally. So I think that gives us maybe an edge in this particular transfer. So, that, my friends, is my January transfer video. Main targets in 4 positions, 3 alternatives for each position, and the reasons why I've gone for those positions. Now, do you agree with my list? Comment down below your list. And for now, I'm the CHALL. Ta-ra for now.